Hey guys, this lesson is going to be a fun painting. We're going to be drawing a snowflake, and what we're going to start off doing, I'm going to zoom in on this in just a second so you can see what I'm drawing, but I am drawing a snowflake, and I'm not just drawing the lines, I'm kind of keeping some space in between my lines. So I started out with a circle, and what I've got started from there is just kind of some like loops, or I guess like really skinny long U's, and I'm doing the same thing on each side. So if I draw a stick on the top, I draw one on the bottom, left, right, and vice versa. Okay, so from there you can design your snowflake however you want to. But what I'm doing on mine is just some diagonal lines going off the ends of those like kind of spokes that I've drawn on there. And then I'm going to add some more little details and things like that. If you need to turn your canvas like I'm doing here, feel free to do that. And that way you're getting, all the sides as much the same as you can. Obviously, they're not going to be exact because we're hand drawing this, but you want to kind of do the same thing on each side that you've done, from the beginning. So from here, I am kind of coming out in between each of those spokes. And this time I'm going to do shorter lines, and then I'm just going to go across those lines instead of doing diagonals. We're just going to do some perpendicular lines to those smaller spokes. So I'm going to show you the rest of this, and then we will get started painting. All right, so for my paint, I'm using my acrylic paints that came in the kit, and I'm just going to use the red, the blue, and the aqua on this. I've got my green out for the other project, but I'm just going to use those three colors for this. So I've washed my brush out, and I am going to go ahead and just use the red first. So it's watered down paint. You can water it down as much or as little as you want. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start painting little like dots or spots on my canvas. I'm staying out of my snowflake for right now. I don't want to paint inside those lines as much as I can help it. You're probably going to touch or go over them a little bit, but you're trying to stay out of the middle. So I don't want to just like paint all over my canvas. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then once I get down like closer to the snowflake, I'm going to go in and do some little dots just here and there. What we're doing is we're going to layer these colors on top of each other. So I'm just trying to kind of find some spaces to fill in with red where they're not actually touching. I've got a couple of places where they touch, but I want the red kind of spaced out on here. All right, so I'm going to rinse my brush out, and then I've sped up the video for you on this part. But what I want to do now is, I'm impatient, so I'm going to dry it with a hairdryer, and I'm going to come in with the aqua. And this time, what I'm going to do is longer strokes, and I'm going to kind of fill in between the red. So some of my strokes will be longer like that one, and then some will just be shorter. I'm just trying to kind of fill in some white space, but I do want to overlap on the red, and that's going to create more colors and some depth as I layer on my paint and my colors. So I'm going to continue doing that, and then once I have everything filled in as far as the aqua goes, And I've still got some white space when this is done, but I'm going to go in and go closer to my snowflake just like I did with the red. So you'll start to see little dots of aqua show up and purple even because I'm layering that aqua on top of the red. So I've also turned my brush on some of these just so that I can get in those spaces a little easier. They're not going to show up quite as much once we get all of our layers on here, but it does help kind of fill in some of that white space. And lastly, I'm going to come in with my blue, and I'm going to start filling in any white space that is in the negative space of my canvas. Now, negative space is anything outside or around the object that I'm wanting to kind of focus on. So that would be my snowflake. So you can see I'm filling in any white space that I see, and we're going to go back and do more layering and things like that. So I don't have to necessarily like fill in every single white space, but I do want the majority of them done before I start layering on again. And so we're just going to keep filling in all of these spaces, and when this is done, I'll come back and show you the next step. Okay, so I have impatiently waited and used my hairdryer for this to dry again. And I've sped up this process because we've already walked through how to layer and that sort of thing. But what I'm doing now is just turning my brush so that it's the skinny lines instead of the wide lines. And I am going in and just kind of filling in around my snowflake. I'm going to do this with the red, let it dry, come back with the aqua, let that dry, come back with the blue. And I'm just going to continue layering on until that snowflake pops out of the canvas. And you'll start to see it. You can already see the shape now. And so, it's coming together, but I really have a lot of spaces, just little spaces in there to kind of fill in and get covered up so that they are completely, there is no white space left except for the snowflake. All right, so I'm going to let you watch the rest of this, and you can follow along, or you can watch this and then go back and do yours the way you want to. All right, so my video cut off at the very end, so I wanted you to see what the finished product looks like. And if you want to, you can go back with a Sharpie and just kind of outline your snowflake just to make it more defined, or you can leave it like this. It looks great either way. I hope that you've enjoyed this lesson, and I can't wait to see what you create.